Ink Ribbon.
As obsessed with Resident Evil 2 as I am, there's only two versions of it that I never got to play, the N64 port and the Dreamcast version. The Nintendo 64 version eluded me for years because I've exhausted all emulation attempts. It just doesn't work with an emulator, and it left me with the only option of buying an actual Nintendo 64 and playing it from there. Well, special thanks to one of my supporters, Matthew Long, for gifting me one because now I can. I can't wait to play more Nintendo 64 games that I never got to try, but for now let's focus on the star of this video, Resident Evil 2. Ever seen what reloading the submachine gun looks like? Boom. Now I'm sure any Resi fan watching this knows why this version is special, but in case you don't, basically the N64 version has exclusive things that no other version ever got. Things like changing the color of blood in Randomizer Mode, and yes, randomizer as in all items are randomized, way before modding was a thing, but don't worry, we'll get to that later. See, the more I learned about this version, the more I was shocked because it had way more exclusive features than I ever realized. But before we talk about those, there's something insane that you need to understand. This game, even existing on the Nintendo 64 the way it does, is almost science fiction, and it's a work of engineering. In 1997, Angel Studios, who later became Rockstar San Diego, was contracted by Capcom to port Resident Evil 2 to the Nintendo 64. Now, normally a port isn't that hard to do, but this was asking for a lot. And Capcom knew this because they gave them $1 million and 2 years to make it happen. So let me break it down. Resident Evil consisted of 2 discs, one for Leon and one for Claire, each one being about 700 megabytes, which is a grand total of 1.4 gigabytes. The Nintendo 64 port of Resident Evil 2 not only got them to fit on one cartridge, but also condensed the game size down to about 64 megabytes. That means that somehow they made Resident Evil 2 fit in less than 10% of its entire file size. Like, how? Literally, how did they do this? On top of this, they actually got the CG cutscenes in there too, even though they're muddy. Like most people, I assumed that the Nintendo 64 was simply not capable of playing FMVs like other consoles, but in my research I learned that it's simply due to not having enough storage space on the cartridge, since pre-rendered cutscenes take up too much space. Quite a few Nintendo 64 games actually do have FMVs, including StarCraft 64, Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, and a few others. So there's your gaming trivia for the day. Now that we've gotten to appreciate the ambitiousness behind this port, let's take a look at what else the studio did while they were under the hood. While we are on the topic of FMVs, I noticed a few small things were changed, most likely to save space. First is that when viewing the cutscene where Annette explains what happened, you will always hear Claire's voice, even when playing as Ada.
Are you telling me that he injected the G-Virus into his own body?
Also, in the second scenario cutscene where Leon or Claire react to seeing the helicopter, their reactions are cut out and it simply goes straight to the helicopter scene. Other than that, the FMVs seem to be intact. One odd thing I found is that all still images such as flashbacks and result screens are tinted completely blue. I don't know if this was a data saving thing or just a creative decision, but there you go. Next, and most famously, are the exclusive alternate costumes for Leon and Claire. Leon gets 2 costumes as usual, one of which is kind of a biker-looking outfit with a white shirt, black vest, camo pants, sunglasses, and a bandana. And the other is a STARS outfit in what appears to be a bulletproof vest over a tactical uniform. It's also worth mentioning that unlike his other alternate outfits, this one doesn't allow him to hold his handgun with one hand. Claire gets another outfit as well, a cool purple outfit that at first glance has her usual insignia on the back, but this is actually the logo for Angel Studios, who made this port. Now, heading back to the main menu, we can already get some cool new features to play with. When starting a new game, you can change the color of blood to blue, green, or the standard red. It may not seem like a big deal, and it's very much a thing of the 90s, but it was a little refreshing to see green blood gushing out of William. And by refreshing, I mean disgusting. You can also change the violence settings to low, medium, or high, with high being the standard we know and love, complete with gushing blood, detaching limbs, decapitation, you know. Medium violence settings disable all limb detachment and decapitation, and it also censors the death animation. And the low violence setting literally disables all blood and gore except for the pool of blood to let you know that a zombie is dead. Probably a setting we all should have had playing as kids, but you and I both know we would have cranked up the violence to high regardless. I don't know where else to mention this, but this version also has Dolby surround sound support, which means you can hear monsters based on location and stuff like that. So for the audiophiles watching, there you go, something for you. Now moving on, we have some gameplay features that were added. In this version, we have some unique cheat codes. By having mercy on those of us who have already unlocked the extra modes the hard way, by going into the load game screen and entering up, down, left, right, right, L, R, C up, C right, C down, C left, you will unlock Hunks mode. Or you can enter up, down, left, right, right, L, R, C up, C left, C down, and C right to play Tofu scenario, which saves you so much time unlocking that, let me tell you. And just like every other version of the game, you can unlock infinite ammo, this time using the code up, right, L, R, C right, C left. But lastly, and most interestingly, you can give Leon and Claire invincibility by entering down, left, L, R, L, C up, C down. From my knowledge, no other Resident Evil game has this cheat built in without the use of a cheat device. And while you can still get poisoned, you will never take damage or die. Though I should mention, I didn't test this on any of the one-hit kill deaths. And good news for all you tank control haters, there's a bonus control scheme labeled first person where you can simply move like normal games. I tried it, but honestly I much prefer tank controls. It was cool to finally have quick turn in Resident Evil 2, but it suffered from that issue where your character suddenly changes direction when the camera switches. Though it was fun to watch Leon and Claire move and turn faster than I have ever seen. One of the biggest additions to the game was the story expansion, tying it together with Code Veronica, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 0 through the newly added EX files. These actually added quite a bit of lore to the canon and are such a good addition it's a shame they weren't included in other versions. Among the more noteworthy files are one in the gun shop establishing Kendo's friendship with Barry, a note addressed to William mentioning the Antarctic base and the Ashfords from Code Veronica, a report by Rebecca mentioning the events of Resident Evil 0, a note from Brad mentioning his fear of the Nemesis and his hometown called Delucia, and a file written by William mentioning the power of the Hunter R. Speaking of which, there is actually a Hunter added to this secret room. And even more interesting is that it's a specific Hunter breed that didn't appear again until Outbreak. And just to clarify, because I know how people get in the comments, the Hunters in Resident Evil 1 are Hunter Alphas. These are a separate breed from those. Literally, these only appeared in this port of Resident Evil 2 and the Outbreak games, nowhere else. And maybe I just didn't know this, but if you don't have the submachine gun, there will be one on the soldier in this room. But if you do have the submachine gun, there will be ammo for it instead, which is an item I didn't even know existed in Resident Evil 2. But that's not all. The code to register your fingerprint was actually changed in this version. Originally being Guest, it is now Nemesis. And on that topic, I should mention they also committed a terrible sin. You know the safe in the RPD, the one with the combo known by every Resident Evil fan? 2236? Nope. In this version, it's 4542. And something that I find really annoying is that in Outbreak File 2, there are 16 different possible combos for this safe, and this isn't one of them. Why? And lastly, the feature that I find most exciting, what I wanted to play all this time, and I spent multiple days unlocking just to show off in this video, Randomizer Mode. I'm sure most of you know what a randomizer mode is by now, but if you don't, basically it switches all the items in the game around, so you have a random, fresh experience every time. Now, unlike mods, where literally every item is randomized, this mode only randomizes non-key items, such as health and ammo pickups. But this mode may be a bit broken because the amounts of ammo are also random, and I had more ammo by the end of the game than I knew what to do with. I mean, look at how many magnum bullets Leon has here. There was one instance where I picked up 29 grenade rounds from the body in the liquor hall, and another one where I got 56 bowgun bolts in one pickup, all in the same playthrough. I think this might have been a safeguard to prevent the player from running out of ammo, but either way, it made it a lot of fun to pick up ammo because it was kind of like pulling a slot machine. Sometimes you get 11 handgun bullets, other times you get a buttload of magnum ammo. Also, it was amusing to see herbs in random places where they shouldn't be. Like, where do you keep your houseplant, Officer Jeff? Oh, I keep it locked up safe in my desk drawer. So yeah, I've waited years, even possibly a decade, to try this randomizer mode, and I finally did. Totally worth it. And there you have it, the Nintendo 64 version of Resident Evil 2. I was so excited to make this video for you guys and show you what it all entailed because, as you just witnessed, this version is something else. Kudos to the devs who made this version, and if this was the version of Resident Evil 2 that you grew up playing, well then, I don't know if this video taught you anything you didn't already know, but there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if there happens to be any other Resident Evil ports that are unique, please let me know, because I'd love to cover them. But that's it for today. I hope you have a great day. Remember to drink water. I'm Kai Morgan, and as always, thanks for watching Ink Ribbon. And a very special thank you to all of my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Your extra support means the world to me and helps me keep making content for you guys.